Welcome back. All right, so a couple days back, I did my best to try to predict where I think things will land in the West. Today, we're going to talk about the East. I feel like the East is a little more difficult to predict than the West because there are a lot of teams below the playoff line that we can make an argument for why they could make the playoffs or should make the playoffs this season. So I'll start off in the Atlantic Division. I do think Florida, best team in the division. Now they were the best team in the division this past season. The Hockey News has them ranked first as well for this coming season. McKean's, who released their yearbook, I believe yesterday afternoon they released their yearbook. They have them finishing second. And for McKean's yearbook, it's just digital. It's a digital download. There's no actual physical copies, so don't go look into your local stores. When I went to the store yesterday, the only one I saw that was available for purchase was the Hockey News Annual and Fantasy Guide. The Toronto Maple Leafs, I have finishing second. That would be a move up one spot from last season. The Hockey News believes they're second best in the Atlantic, and McKean's has them finishing first, which last year I thought they were going to finish first. So I'm hedging a little bit, although they only finished third this past season, so finishing second would be a move up by one spot. I have Tampa Bay in third place in the division, and of course, top three automatically make the playoffs. The Hockey News has them ranked third. McKean's has them ranked fourth. So there's a little bit of a difference there. There's mild differences here, and again, I think it's recency bias. It is. It's recency bias. We talk about this many, many, many times over, but it's a thing. It is hard to look at a team from last year that was a top team and say, well, they're going to miss the playoffs because, without coming across as kind of pulling stuff out of thin air and just complete and total guesswork. So that's part of the reason why the recency bias is what it is. Boston, I have fourth in the division. The Hockey News also has them fourth in the division. McKean's has them third. So swap here and here according to McKean's rankings. My rankings match up with the Hockey News right up until the next ranking, where I have Detroit fifth, which would be the same spot they were in this past season. I'm putting the X next to Detroit. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 5 Atlantic Division teams make it and 3 Metros don't. Now, the Hockey News had Detroit at 6th behind Buffalo, and McKean's had them 5th. McKean's did not have them, I don't believe, as a playoff team. I think it was 4-4. Whereas for the Hockey News, I think they're 4-4 as well. Ottawa, I have 6th. The Hockey News has them ranked 7th, and McKean's has them ranked 6th. So nobody of those three predicting Ottawa's going to make the playoffs. I would certainly hope to be wrong on this one. This is why people are like, oh, you can't wait till you're wrong. I can't either, to be honest. I have Buffalo at 7th, which is a drop of one spot from last season. They are 5th in the Hockey News in terms of ranking there, and 7th in McKean's rankings. So it is going to be interesting to see how these three teams shake down, because the belief is that these three are just a step below these four, and until one of them has a season where they end up above those teams, that's still going to be the perception. And Montreal finishing last in the division, I do think Montreal, I'll pick that up later. I do think that Montreal likely ends up finishing last, but I think they'll be better than they were this past season. I think their record will get better. I think they'll be up around 500. McKean's has them around 500 as well. The Hockey News has them last in the division, but does talk about improvement for them as well. So it's not an insult to put Montreal in last place in a division where this should be maybe the most competitive division from 1 through 8. And I think I don't think there's much argument that this is the most competitive division in the NHL from 1 through 8, but you guys can let me know your thoughts. And then we get out to the Metro division. Metro should be interesting. The New York Rangers, I have them finishing first. I'm the only one. The Hockey News has them second, so does McKean's. So there's that. I have New Jersey at second, which is an improvement of 5 spots in the division from where they were this past season. New Jersey's going to be that sexy pick for a turnaround. And in the event it doesn't happen, there'll be a lot of fingers pointed, I would think, at least towards Tom Fitzgerald if the goaltending and defensive improvements don't show up. The Hockey News has New Jersey first in the division. Also has them getting all the way to the Stanley Cup final. McKean's has them third in the division. So there's some pressure on New Jersey this year. Really, keeping everybody healthy would go a long way towards helping keep them above the playoff line. I have Carolina at third. Obviously, still a playoff team. The Hockey News has them third as well. McKean's has them first in the division. So it will be interesting to see how Carolina's season goes. I don't think they're going to be that close to the number one spot in the division, but probably closer to first in the division than to missing the playoffs. At least that's my guess. Now, Washington, I have fourth in the division. The Hockey News has them fifth, and McKeen's has them fourth. The Capitals are an interesting team. I think they did a good job of improving their goaltending in the offseason. I think there's a good roster there. I don't know if it's a playoff team. I would say the same of the Islanders right now. I have them dropping 2 spots down to fifth in the division. The Hockey News has them fourth, and McKeen's has them fifth as well. So for the Islanders, adding Patrick Roy as coach may very well prove everybody wrong in this one. Maybe the Islanders end up in the top 3, but they're going to need a fantastic goaltending performance from Sorokin as well as Varlamov keeping up his end of the bargain, and just really, really tight defense. I think if the Islanders are going to make it, we're looking at probably 3-1, 2-1 wins for the Islanders most of the way. Yeah, I almost said Oilers. For some reason, they're orange and blue. So every now and then, I just see the orange and blue out of the side of my, like, little side eye there, and next thing you know, Oilers comes out. Penguins I have dropping down to 6th. The Hockey News has them 6th, and so does McKeen's. So we all agree with Pittsburgh in 6th place, which Sidney Crosby and the team would not be happy about. This is a team that wants to get back into the playoffs. They want to get back into the playoffs immediately, so we'll see how it goes. Philadelphia, all of the myself, the Hockey News, McKeen's all have Philadelphia in 7th place in the division, and I think that's probably where they're going to end up. But again, could they defy those expectations because Tortorella's able to get more wins and points out of this team than another coach might? Yeah, that absolutely could happen. And then you get to Columbus. So Columbus is the great unknown at this point, for obvious reasons, right? The whole Johnny Gaudreau, what's going to happen coming out of that? What will Columbus do with the ridiculous amount of cap space they do have? So they can get creative here. But I do have them at last place. So does the Hockey News, and so does McKeen's. This is going to be a very interesting season. I think this is going to be unpredictable. I do think that the East is less predictable than the West. And I'm kind of sad with myself that I haven't been a little more bold in my predictions. I do think Boston's a team that could drop, because the one comment I always see about the East is, well, if these teams are going to make the playoffs, who's going to drop? I could see Boston. I could see Tampa. Just for the reality, these teams have been in the playoffs for quite some time, and age could very well play a role. And I mean, if Gensel doesn't hit in Tampa, which he should be very good in Tampa, but if it doesn't quite work out, there are reasons to look at Tampa and Boston, I think, and maybe see a team that could fall back. Maybe Toronto falls back a little bit. I can't see Florida doing it, but the Stanley Cup hangover is a thing. It is difficult to get up for games in early October after the intensity of the games in June. Plus, players are still banged up a little bit. Coming out of the Stanley Cup final run, there are usually at least a few players who are still dealing with just little injuries here and there, nothing major, usually. And then when you're looking at the Metro, it does feel like it's kind of all over the place. New Jersey, yes, being favored to move up quite a bit. That is a common prediction. Could they fall out altogether? Yeah, they absolutely could. That is absolutely a possibility. Could Markstrom struggle in New Jersey? Sure. That is absolutely a possibility as well. So there are so many unknowns, and we're going to favor teams that made the playoffs getting back again. So I have New Jersey and Detroit as teams jumping into the playoffs. I have the Islanders and the Capitals as the teams that drop out. But this is a very difficult conference to predict. It really is. And it makes for a lot of fun hockey. I'm really looking forward to watching that this year. So let me know your thoughts. Where do you think teams finish in each division? Who do you think makes the playoffs and who doesn't? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.